Trains along the north-south and east-west lines will run slower and with longer intervals after the Land Transport Authority ordered train operator SMRT to place a temporary speed restriction of 40 kilometers per hour at certain stretches. Now, this comes after overnight investigations found 21 claws dislodged along the rail system, which may have disrupted power. More from Joanne Chan.
LTA and SMRT staff combed the north-south and east-west lines on Saturday night in an attempt to uncover the reasons behind the latest disruptions. They found several claws missing along the third rail, which caused it to be out of alignment in certain areas. What I have in my hands is called a third rail assembly, which holds up the third rail that supplies power to the trains. Now, during their overnight inspections, LTA and SMRT found several claws dislodged, causing the third rail to sag. Once it sags past a certain point, power to the system will be disrupted. These claws have since been replaced, and for added strength, cable ties have also been added to ensure that the whole system is secured. The inspection was due to have been completed by Sunday morning, but it stretched on as engineers needed more time to correct the missing claws. Spaced about 6 meters apart, these claws are usually covered and had to be manually inspected. As a result, the southbound stretch from Ang Mo Kio to Marina Bay only resumed services at noon.
When we first did the planning to close the trains until 10 a.m., the assessment was that there was sufficient time to do the visual checks. As a result of some of these discoveries, felt that there was need to go deeper into it, and also to do some of these gauge measurements, to do some of the rectifications.
The missing claws were mainly discovered at sections of tunnels in the city area. Of the 21 dislodged claws, 9 were found between Raffles Place and Marina Bay stations. This is also where a structure called the floating slab track is installed. It's designed to absorb vibrations from passing trains so that surrounding buildings are not affected. These tracks have a lifespan of 50 years and were found to be sound when last checked 10 years ago. Mr. Lui said there's no recommended time frame on how often these tracks have to be checked. LTA says more investigation is needed to determine if there's any correlation between the floating slab tracks and dislodged claws.
It is worthwhile for us to go and drill into the floating slab tracks and to pull out samples from different locations to check on the condition of the bearings and the dampener. And this is no straightforward effort, so it needs to be planned for, and the possibility is that we may well have to take more than the 3 to 4 hours that we normally have for track site work.
LTA has directed SMRT to drive its trains at a slower speed over the affected areas so as to reduce vibrations. Mr. Lui said this will add about 5 minutes to an end-to-end journey, which normally takes 60 minutes. Fewer trains will also be in service as some were damaged by the recent breakdowns. 13 trains had missing collector shoes, which are required to draw power from the third rail.
During the peak period itself, instead of running it at about 2 minutes, it will probably be slightly extended. Probably about a 10%, maybe slightly more increase in terms of the headway.
Mr. Lui did not say when trains will be back to their normal speeds. Aside from these measures, he said the committee of inquiry announced by the Prime Minister will have to look into track maintenance and the cause of the dislodged claws.